For 18 years, Derek and I were more than business partners. We were brothers forged by ambition, late-night strategy sessions, and the shared dream of building something extraordinary. We met in college, two broke kids from working-class families who promised each other we'd never end up like our fathers, grinding away at jobs that crushed their spirits. Our company, Meridian Tech, started in Derek's garage in 2005. By 2023, we employed 340 people and were valued at $47 million. I was CEO, Derek was CTO, and we owned the company 50-50. No lawyers, no complicated agreements, just a handshake between two men who trusted each other completely. Our unspoken contract was sacred. We'd always have each other's backs, make major decisions together, and never let money or ego destroy what we'd built. When Derek's first marriage fell apart, I covered his responsibilities for 6 months. When my dad was dying of cancer, Derek flew to Missouri 12 times to help me handle arrangements. We were each other's emergency contacts, best men at each other's weddings, godfathers to each other's kids. People called us the inseparable duo. Our wives joked that we were married to each other first, them second. But looking back, the cracks were there. Derek had been distant for months, claiming stress about our upcoming merger with a Silicon Valley firm. He'd started missing our Thursday partner meetings, saying he was working on something big that would change everything. When I pressed for details, he'd deflect with jokes about trust issues and remind me that I'd always been the worrier in our partnership. His office door was closed more often. His phone calls went silent when I walked by. Most telling, he'd stopped including me in conversations with our head lawyer, claiming they were discussing boring compliance stuff that would waste my time. The first real warning came 3 weeks ago when our accountant, Patricia, pulled me aside after a board meeting. "James, I need to ask you something confidentially. Are you aware of the subsidiary Derek created in Delaware?" My blood ran cold. "What subsidiary?" "Meridian Holdings, LLC. Derek established it 6 months ago, apparently for strategic tax purposes. But the paperwork shows him as the sole owner, and it holds significant company assets." That night I couldn't sleep. Derek and I had agreed never to make major financial decisions without the other's knowledge. Creating a subsidiary, especially one that controlled company assets, violated the fundamental trust our partnership was built on. But I told myself there had to be an explanation. Derek wasn't capable of betrayal. We were brothers. I was wrong. The moment of rupture came on Tuesday, October 3rd at 2:17 p.m. I was in Derek's office trying to casually bring up the Delaware subsidiary when his laptop chimed with an email notification. The preview was visible on his screen. Meridian Holdings Sale Agreement, Final Terms. My heart stopped. "Derek, what sale agreement?" He slammed the laptop shut, but it was too late. "It's nothing, just exploring options." "What options? We haven't discussed selling anything." The look on his face, guilt mixed with defiance, told me everything. "James, we need to talk." What followed was the most devastating 30 minutes of my adult life. Derek had been secretly negotiating to sell his half of Meridian Holdings, which, unbeknownst to me, now controlled 60% of our company's most valuable assets, to our Silicon Valley merger partner for $31 million. The deal was structured so that I'd retain my 50% ownership of the original company, but Derek would own the subsidiary that held our most profitable divisions. Essentially, Derek was stealing half my life's work. "You're selling our company without telling me?" "I'm selling my half," Derek said, as if that made it acceptable. "You still have yours. Derek, you moved our best assets into a company I don't even own. That's not your half, that's theft." I prefer to think of it as securing my future. The casual way he said it, like he was discussing the weather, shattered something in me that I don't think will ever fully heal. "How long have you been planning this?" 8 months. 8 months. While I'd been working 18-hour days to prepare for our merger, believing we were building our future together, Derek had been systematically stealing the company we'd created. "Derek, we're partners. We're supposed to make decisions together." "James, grow up." "This is business." I found an opportunity and I took it. That's what successful people do. Successful people don't betray their partners. I'm not betraying anyone. I'm being smart. You're welcome to find your own opportunities. The Derek sitting across from me was a stranger. The idealistic kid who'd once promised we'd never become like the greedy corporate executives we despised had become exactly that. What happened to you? I grew up. Maybe you should try it. That night I called our lawyer. What Derek had done was legal, technically. He'd been careful to structure the subsidiary creation within the bounds of our original partnership agreement, which had been deliberately loose to demonstrate our trust in each other. The very trust Derek had weaponized against me. But legal doesn't mean ethical. I confronted him again the next day, this time with our lawyer present and documentation of everything Derek had hidden from me. Derek, you have one chance to make this right. Cancel the sale, dissolve the subsidiary, and we'll pretend this never happened. Derek laughed. Actually laughed. James, you're not in a position to make demands. The sale goes through next week. Then you're destroying 18 years of partnership over money. I'm not destroying anything. I'm capitalizing on 18 years of work. There's a difference. What about loyalty? What about brotherhood? Brotherhood doesn't pay for my kids' college tuition. That was the moment I knew Derek was gone. Not just as a business partner, but as a friend, as the man I'd considered family. The legal battle lasted 4 months. Derek hired the most expensive corporate law firm in Chicago, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to protect his theft. I fought with everything I had, not just for the money, but for the principle that partnerships built on trust shouldn't be destroyed by greed. In the end, we reached a settlement. Derek kept his Delaware subsidiary but had to pay me $18 million for my share of the assets he'd transferred without my knowledge. I kept the original company, now significantly diminished but still profitable. But the money couldn't repair what Derek had broken. The most painful part wasn't losing half my company. It was realizing that for 8 months, every conversation we'd had was contaminated by his deception. Every strategy meeting where he'd pretended to care about our future. Every time he'd asked for my trust while systematically betraying it. I kept thinking about all the times he'd looked me in the eye and lied. Not just about the subsidiary, but about his commitment to our partnership, his respect for what we'd built together, his understanding of loyalty. Derek's wife, Michelle, called me after the settlement. She was crying. James, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what he was planning until it was too late. I tried to talk him out of it, but he said you'd never understand business. Did he ever seem conflicted about it? That's what scared me most. He didn't. He talked about it like he was outsmarting a competitor, not betraying his best friend. Derek had compartmentalized our friendship so completely that he'd convinced himself his betrayal was just smart business. The brother who'd held my hand when my father died had become someone capable of systematic deception without apparent guilt. I've rebuilt Meridian Tech over the past 6 months. We're smaller now, but growing steadily. I've hired new partners, plural, with detailed contracts and oversight mechanisms. Never again will I give anyone the power to steal half my life's work. But the hardest part isn't professional, it's personal. Derek's betrayal didn't just end our business partnership, it shattered my ability to trust completely. I find myself analyzing every relationship for signs of self-interest disguised as friendship. I second-guess motives, look for hidden agendas, and maintain emotional distance even with people I care about. My wife says I've become cynical. Maybe she's right. But I prefer to think I've become realistic. Derek sent me an email last month. Hope you're doing well. Maybe we can grab coffee sometime and talk about old times. Old times. As if 18 years of partnership could be reduced to nostalgia. As if betrayal could be forgiven with casual coffee conversation. I didn't respond. The strangest part is that I don't hate Derek. I mourn him. I mourn the person I thought he was, the friendship I thought we had, and the future I thought we were building together. The Derek who betrayed me feels like a different person than the Derek who was my brother for 18 years. But maybe that's the most painful realization of all. Perhaps the Derek who betrayed me was always there, and I just chose not to see him. Perhaps loyalty was never as mutual as I believed. Perhaps I was building my half of our partnership on trust, while he was building his half on opportunity. I've learned that loyalty can't be assumed, only demonstrated. That trust, once broken, leaves scars that change how you approach every future relationship. That the people closest to you have the greatest power to destroy you, not because they know your weaknesses, but because you don't defend yourself against them. But I've also learned that survival is possible. That betrayal, devastating as it is, doesn't have to define you. That you can rebuild, create new partnerships, and find people worthy of trust, even if you approach that trust more carefully than before. The loyal, trusting person Derek betrayed is gone forever. In his place is someone more cautious, more strategic, more protected. I'm not sure if that's growth or damage, healing or scarring. Maybe it's both. So here's my question for anyone who's experienced the collapse of absolute trust. How do you balance self-protection with openness in new relationships? Can you ever fully trust again after someone you considered family systematically betrays you? And is the person who emerges from betrayal stronger or just more broken? What would you do?